Are you ready for our season finale? I am. I hope you are too. Let's go. Good evening, one and all, here from Middle-earth. You might see a different location, whatever. I'm so grateful for you being here, both live and those of you watching on replay. Welcome. For those of you who are watching on replay as well, feel free to like and share this video wherever you are on the YouTube's, Facebook, and all the likes. Yes, we're here to educate and entertain. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Here from Middle-earth. Well, not quite exactly Middle-earth, but I'll go into a bit more details of that. But today we're going to talk about how to run a marathon. So please feel free to leave some comments, questions. We've got some wonderful guests coming on. And I say guests as we're waiting for some still to try and connect. I hope they'll connect. But anyway, the joys of being live. Yes, it's been quite a week for myself. Yes, I've changed location. I've moved to Staffordshire. So I'm getting ready for the Stafford Half Ironman in June. So I thought I'd temporarily move here. That's dedication for you, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm getting ready for that. And it's all part of the prep. So it's a bit like running up that hill. Yes, that's right. But of course, we can't go anywhere without having a bit of Elton on a Saturday night, yeah? Yes, indeed. You just want to get dancing, don't we? Yes, I do want to dance, dance, dance. So a quick update for me in this particular week. It's been quite a training week, focusing, as I say, mainly on the getting ready for this 70.3 Ironman. I see some comments are flying in there. I'll get to the comments and to the guests. But for me, the training is working. If you follow me on the socials, yeah, if you do follow on the socials, you can follow me on Poet with Pace, both on the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz. And if you wanted to contact me, if you want to come on to this live shows in the second season, because this is the season finale, this is the last one of this particular season. So yes, I know it can be quite sad, but hey, all good things come to an end, but we'll restart. So if you want to get in touch with me, if you want to come on any future shows or live, and speaking of live, I did do some interviews this week where you would have seen I've already published the interview where I had an interview with Namir Batavia, an incredible athlete who's targeting a 72-minute half marathon. That's right, 72 minutes. You did hear correctly, super fast. And also I'll be publishing later next week an interview that I had with the author of this wonderful book, Three New People, Brian Miller. Yeah, so you've got that to look forward to next week. But the week in training, the running, whilst I may have only done 2 runs so far this week, and I've got another one tomorrow, my VO2's leapt up to 63. That's right, 63. And also with the cycling today, I had a 2-hour sesh. Oh man, that was hard, and involved 2 sets of mainly do heart rate zone training. So 70 zone 3, like 2 sets of 20, and then a minute hard burst on the zone 4. And my VO2 shot up from 58 to 62. So things are going in the right direction. I also managed to throw in a 1 mile TT on Wednesday, because unbeknownst to me, I'd entered a virtual 1 mile TT with me running club, and squeezed one in on the Wednesday morning, pre-breakfast, totally unprepared, new location, very undulating. Yes, I'm making all my excuses. Still managed to run a sub 6. And it was enough to get me in the top 50. Nowhere near the fastest, because the fastest guy in my age category, yeah, couple of this, 4 minutes and 46. Yes, for someone who's 55 and over. That's pretty fast, isn't it, for a 1 mile? But yes, so let's have a quick look on the old comments coming in, and I'll say some hellos. And yeah, Ben, how come someone you're like, I'm going through, yes. So that running guy first, Chris, I hope you're going to stick to the end, Chris. Yes, and Ben. Second, how come somewhere news? And I said, yeah, well, you know, it's a long story, mate, and I've got no time to go through the story here. And David Lockie, good evening. First time listening in live. Look forward to the show all the way from Leamington Spa, Royal Leamington Spa, nonetheless. And I'm glad, Ben, your ears are bleeding now. Yes. And good evening, Duncan. Petra, yes, Petra, all the way from the US of A. Good evening to you. Right. Right. I'm just getting messages here from, what was it? Well. So whilst I message back one of the guests, he says he hasn't got the link. I'm going to bring on the wonders of live. Yeah, how to run a marathon. I'll come back to the comments. Keep the comments coming in. Yes, I know. I wish I had someone here who could talk. So I'm going to bring on my guest, Serena, who can quickly, because in fact, you can check, is this the right thing to say? Yes. And Joe Webster from South Africa. Oh, we've got everybody from far and wide. Have we got all the continents? How many continents have we got? So I've got one guy here who wants to message me to come on live. And I've got you guys commenting, and there's dozens of you listening in. Bear with, right? Because I've got this. Did you download the latest iOS from iPhone? Because I've got this up before I bring my guest from somewhere very special. Is that I'm going to type. There's a new piece of software. This is so funny, and it's called Translate. Yeah, and so I'm going to play. this thing here, right? And hopefully I've got the right language here. So here we go. مساء الخير. Is that correct? Is that? I'll turn up the volume a bit more. Oh. مساء الخير. مساء الخير, which is good evening in Arabic. So good evening, Serena.
Hi, good evening.
Were you expecting anything like that?
No, I did not expect, but yes, it surprised me because I don't really know how to say good evening in Arabic. I'm sorry to disappoint. Although I've been living in Dubai for like 5 years, almost 6.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
now you know. So I'm just sending live here the link to our other guests. So what I was going to say, Serena, because a lot of people who are watching, and I'm very grateful for you coming on live from, it does say Middle East. Here I'm in Middle Earth, and you are in the Middle East. You're in Dubai right now. Is that right, Serena? Yeah?
Yes, that's right.
Dubai. So do you want to give a little explanation in terms of your background in running, how long you've been running and all that type of things before we go into the detail? So don't go into any detail of the races, because that's what the nice juicy type stuff that we've got here. But let's give a bit of a background for yourself in terms of how you got into running and how many runs you've done.
Well, well, first of all, you know, I was listening to you about your commitment to your training, and you know, I'm amazed. So I don't consider myself a runner per se. I'm more of a casual runner. So I got into running back in 2014, but I was doing, you know, I had a gym membership, but I mainly went to the gym to have coffees and catch ups, you know. So the run was not the priority. But when I moved to Dubai, until I created a network of people, and because I didn't know anyone here, so I just started running. And then I joined some different other activities. So I became more active than prior. And as I was settling in a new place with a new job and everything else, I just set this goal to myself to run a marathon. So yes, you know, I just Googled what it will take, and you know, I joined some running clubs. But then in the end, I'm more of a solo runner. You know, I think it's a mix of, I feel like, people are, you know, at the different levels or at like they more experienced runners than me, at least at the time. So I also like to keep to my own timing,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Your own times, yeah.
yeah, not to, maybe not to, I don't like to have people waiting for me and I'm not in time, let's say. Apart from work, where you have to be on time, I tend to be a bit late. So it doesn't work, people just want to get on with their run.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I am actually, I know running is best in the morning, and a lot of my friends who run, they do run in the morning, like 5 o'clock. So I tried that a few times, but waking up early in the morning, again, not for me. So I think then I just had to run most of the time by myself.
Right, right. So you do most of your running on your own, yeah?
Yes, most of my running on my own, and that's because, I just I'm not so good at my timekeeping, and I also think I prefer to take running as an activity where I, have my it's a meditation also time, right? Because you're just thinking and thinking when you start running, and then until you're not thinking anymore, and it's just like, finally just you and your run, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I find that really good when I do it. Unfortunately, I've been on and off running in the last 2 years. So what I mean by that, like I have a month when I run like consistently every day. So maybe I reach 100 and 150 kilometers in the month, which is not a lot. I know you may do that in 2 weeks.
No. Well, it's still a long way. It's all relative.
But for me, and then what happened, I was actually aiming to do the 6 major marathons until I started to study for an MBA. And then that took over my life. And, like we all do, we think, oh, we don't have half an hour for running, which will probably help us the most to be more productive and more focused on our activities. So we kind of put that on the side, and we don't do it when I didn't do it when I needed it probably the most. But now I'm coming back. I finished the MBA, and I went back into running. I'm not yet back on a full routine, but definitely I appreciate the days when I really stick to it and I go out there, because it does help. It helps with the mood, and it helps me. I don't know. I just feel like it's the same situation, but everything seems in a better light, or you look more to the better things in your life after your run, right?
Yeah, you feel. Do you get, so you feel good after a run? You get. Would you say you get the runner's high? Because I say there's natural endorphins. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
it's the same like eating chocolate.
It's like eating chocolate, but obviously I've heard that eating dark chocolate can help, and with that, so it's really good. So thank you so much for that, Serena. And we have our second guest has just arrived, and he's keen to get on board here. I can see him with his racing cap ready to go. I'm just going to quickly update, because there's various comments have been coming in from people, so I'm going to go through those comments, and as I type this here, because obviously I'm working things on the fly, being producer, editor, and things. So let's all welcome our second guest for the this evening, and that's Lawrence, all the way from the English Riviera. Good evening, Lawrence.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. All good. How are you feeling, Lawrence?
I'm sorry. I'm on the potato cam. I got my lovely PC set up in the other room, but my son's on a call to his girlfriend in America. So
hey, that's cool. Not to worry, mate. Not to
worry. We got there in the end, at least.
Yeah, we're all here. We're all here now. Say hello to Serena.
Hi, Serena.
Hi, Lawrence.
Hi. Welcome to one of Donato's amazing live casts.
Live cast. I was just going to say, Lawrence, I'm going to go through some of the comments that we're getting from people. So we do have a multinational, obviously you guys being from different parts of the world, we have got people from all over the world. There's from South Africa, US, and Belfast, not to mention Jonathan Winter, one of our regular viewers. Good evening, Jonathan. Hope you're still on, watching from the YouTubes. We've also got, is watching on Facebook. I don't know if that's the same Jonathan or not. Maybe it is. Martin, good evening. And I can see that Dan Runs has joined us as well. So good evening, Dan. So this evening's topic is more of a marathon theme. So it's a bit of this, really. You all start dancing to that, yeah? I felt a bit dancey doing that. Now, we're going to talk about, there's different experiences from marathons. There's good ones, there's bad ones, and there's some damn ugly ones as well there. So we're going to go through the good, bad, and the ugly. But in the words of George Michael and Wham, if you're going to do a marathon, you're going to do it right, yeah?
If you're gonna do it right, right, do it with me. If you're gonna do it right, right, do it with me.
Absolutely. If you're going to do a marathon, you're going to do it right. As I'm saying, we're here to educate and entertain. So we're going to start with experiences of marathons. Now, I know, Lawrence, you've ran a marathon, and I would say that was a good experience for yourself. Would you say it was good? Or was it tremendous?
Yeah. No, it was much better than I think most people's first experience. I had run a number of halves in quick succession.
Yeah.
So that I had an inkling of what was involved. But yeah, I as you know, as I said before, I was sort of quite a reluctant marathon runner. Mm-hmm. And eventually I felt, well, I only did it because in the end I couldn't think of a reason not to. Yeah. Whereas I think most people throw themselves into it. They really want to do it. It's like on a bucket list, isn't it?
Hold that thought there. Hold that thought there, Lawrence. That's exactly one of the points. Serena, would you say, because how many marathons have you ran yourself?
I think five marathons.
You've got a few medals there. Is that right? You've got a few medals you want to show off for the 5 that you've done. Do you want to show them off? Do you want to hold them closer to the camera? Which one is that one?
This is my first marathon in Dubai.
Yeah, 2016.
Yes, and then this is my second marathon. Gosh, it's kind of like it's kind of an ugly. I shouldn't say that. This is from my own country, Romania. It's not easy to see. It's from Bucharest.
Yeah, not that one. The Bucharest Marathon. Yeah, okay. So that's a nice bit of bling. That is. We're getting some good comments coming through, by the way. You might recognize this particular name, Serena. Is Sean is on. He's saying hello to you. So, and also welcome to the Johnson twins. Colin's on. We all make mistakes. It's all part of the journey. And Colin has commented to you, Lawrence. You did absolutely fantastic at the Chester Marathon. He knows your results by heart now. And Keith Johnson, change your life, run a marathon. So there's a few comments coming in there. So please continue, Serena, with the bling that you have.
Yes. Well, I only kept these two because my experiences for both are quite extremely different. So my first marathon, which I ran in January 2016, and this I ran in October 2016. Yeah. So I knew like you have to do like about 600, 500 kilometers training before you run a marathon. So I managed to do about half of that, 250 or less. Not a lot of cross training as they recommend, and but I went for it, and it was only 2 or 3 days of intense pain after the marathon. I didn't train
That's one way of putting it. Yeah. Okay.
So basically, the first 20 Ks it's okay, but then after the 25K, your joints start to ache quite a bit, and then the heat, because in Dubai it's quite hot. So if you're not fast, obviously by the time you finish, it's starting to be too hot to run comfortably. So that adds on. So, you know, you do a bit of walking at the end. But yeah, I did finish, I think, under 5 hours. So that was 4 hours 48.
Okay, that was the first Dubai one. So would you say that was that a good, bad, or ugly one? What would you say that was?
Oh, well, I mean, for a first marathon, I thought and given my training, I thought I was happy I finished it, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that goes down as a good one, yeah?
yeah, I would say it's a good one, but a bit painful.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're getting some comments coming through here that Serena, Colin said those medals, those aren't ugly medals at all. So he likes those medals. You said it, I think, Serena, maybe you were being a bit harsh on your own country there that with the Bucharest medal. It is a nice medal. I totally agree, Colin. It's a lovely medal. Both of them are lovely medals. And just a quick hello from Sean and the twins. So hello, Uma, Gabriel, good day to you. If you want to say hello to the twins.
Hi guys.
Hello, twins. We'll have you on in the series 2, I think, twins, with twins watching and twins. There's lots of twins watching. I like this. And we have, it's almost like we have, and Suzanne, one of our guests, lovely guest from New York, is has tuned in. So hello, Suzanne. Good to see you on. So Suzanne is an experienced elite runner, and we had a great time yesterday. So let's move on to the let's keep it on the good sides. Lawrence, do you want to go next with your Chester experience? So Serena's talked about the training, the amount of mileage, and whilst she, you know, I think maybe you're being harsh on yourself, Serena, only having done half, but it's still a lot of mileage, and coming under 5 hours for that type of training, that is great little thing. Yourself, Lawrence, the Chester experience was quite different for you, and
yeah, I think
you really went for it.
Serena, you did really well. You did really well, because the to do a marathon like that, and on what do you say, 250 kilometers? That's really good.
That's phenomenal.
And I'm sure you did. You know, you'll come on to explain how you did better subsequently. I'm sure you did. But yeah, because that's pretty light for a marathon, isn't it? That's about the distance.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just to add to that, Jonathan's come in. Serena, you are inspiration. Well done on your marathon journey. And hold that thought there as well, Lawrence, because I completely forgot that Chris, that running guy, he's a twin as well. So would you believe right now here live, we have almost 6 pairs of twins watching this. I mean, what's the odds of that happening? I think, Lawrence, you can get your calculator out. And
pretty unusual.
It is pretty unusual. We've got all sets of twins watching this particular show. But yes, Serena, I mean, it's great what you've done. For yourself, Lawrence, it was quite difficult because you've done a little bit more mileage.
Yeah,
and you were part of a running club as well, so you were getting a lot of hands-on help with your running club.
Absolutely.
Whereas yourself, Serena, I think you were doing it sole. You were a sole runner, and although break into song.
Yeah, very tough to learn to run a marathon. You know, just from YouTube or books or whatever.
Yeah.
I felt that the personal advice, to me, that made all the difference. So before running halves, I was having a go at 5Ks and 10Ks, and you know, thinking about a half, but I kind of plateaued. You get so far and then find you're not really improving very much. And I kind of guessed that it was because of technique. So I was beginning to put the miles in, but I wasn't getting any better. Joining a club was tremendous. Although, you know, I got a lot of advice from myself, Donato, and also from Linda at work, who's an elite veteran runner. She's in the 60s and still pretty quick. But having the club was tremendous because it also got me into the routine. So training on a Monday night at a track, and running every Wednesday for an hour, and then we park run on the Saturday. I had those anchor points in the training week.
Yes,
and this is I'm really missing that now, and it's so hard without those commitments
Yeah,
to keep
yeah.
the training going. But back then, it was all good, and these things were happening. And I started the year with a couple of halves, and then intended to do some more halves.
Yeah.
But then I found I was starting to run up to sort of 20 miles, so over 30 kilometers.
Yeah.
And at that point, I thought, well, a
This is
marathon
30 kilometers a week training, yeah?
no, some of the individual runs were that far.
Okay, okay.
I started doing 16 miles, 18 miles, and I thought, well, a marathon is further than that, but it in my naivety, I thought it's not much further. Of course, it is, because the last few miles are something else, aren't they? Let's be honest.
It is. I
They
think
really are.
It certainly does, doesn't it? Go on, Lawrence. Go on.
But you kept nagging me, and I gave in, didn't I? And
I wasn't nagging you. I wasn't nagging you, really. I just thought it's an opportune time for you to have a go, and what a go it was.
Well,
but
I'm so pleased you did, because obviously the next spring I had sciatica, and it probably wouldn't have been able to run a marathon until the end of this year.
Yeah.
So anyway, training wise, I'm a very cautious chap, and I did probably about 650 kilometers in training in the run up to the marathon.
Yeah.
So basically, it doesn't make for great storytelling, but I basically did everything by the book as much as I could, and took all the advice, and it paid off, didn't it? So,
absolutely.
I got my sub 4, so I was very happy with that.
You came in 3:51 for a first marathon. For a first marathon in your mid-50s, that is astonishing.
Amazing.
Astonishing, Lawrence.
To be fair, I don't think I realised what I'd done.
Well, Chester Marathon, for those who've ran Chester Marathon, there's a few hills, shall we say, and then there's that hill. I'm sure it's 3 miles blooming long, that hill at the end. I know it's probably only a mile, but I think a lad walked past me up that hill when I was finishing that. But it's a tough one, and
it was. I would say that marathon for me was good and ugly. Because it was great to about 22 miles, and then it got. I didn't hit the wall as such, but it just got really, really tough.
It did get tough, which leads me neatly on. So hold that at mileage 22. I'll move over to Serena, because Serena, you have the experience at Bucharest was slightly different to the Dubai one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
And Lawrence mentioned ugly. How do you want to give a bit of background of how you got into the Bucharest Marathon? And this is maybe some tips and advice. Maybe would you say how not to do a marathon? Although you did finish, and it's still admirable that you finished. But do you want to go into a little detail? Because when you were telling me the story, and when we were chatting earlier this week, I thought, and you said you wanted to come on, I thought, that's brilliant. You've got to share this, because as you said yourself, this is sometimes a lot of people, and it was almost the rage, and Lawrence might have seen some of these videos and commented on them in a angry way, is a lot of people seem to go out, and it was like a big deal to just rock up to a marathon with zero training and go for the finish. And we all know what happened. So Serena, do you want to explain what happened at Bucharest? How you got into it? Because it wasn't really planned, was it? You hadn't registered months before and done all the training. It was a bit of a different story.
So I'll just say first, well done, Lawrence. I hope one day I'll do a sub 4 marathon.
As Colin says, sub 4 is the holy grail.
Yeah,
sub 3 is the holiest of grail.
So I thought the Bucharest Marathon would be my sub 4, but as it happens, I subscribed for it with 2 colleagues from work. Yeah. And they are super, like advanced runners. They do ultra marathons and so on. So they coming back to Romania, so my home country, and now they've been training for this marathon, and I'm like, I'm gonna be your guide, but I'm not entering the, I have the ticket, but I'm not running the marathon at this stage because I haven't trained. Probably from my January marathon, maybe I run on average 7K a week, so
7 kilometers a week.
Yeah, if I would say on average, if that.
Yeah, okay.
So I said, look, my knees
that
are
puts a bit of perspective. 7 kilometers a week. Yeah, that's good.
Just to make, and probably less. Some weeks I didn't run at all. And I said to them, I'm not gonna run. So, but then they were like, we can't come to your country. We're running the marathon, and you're not running the marathon. So to escape the peer pressure, I just said, okay, no problem, I'll run. So in my mind, I said, I'm gonna enter, I'm gonna start, and then after 10K, I'm gonna exit. That was my plan. So I go ahead with all of this, and then, because obviously there's no way to escape, you have to run.
Peer pressure,
the peer pressure. So as I entered, I did 10K and I felt good. And then I did 15K and I felt good. And
so you didn't exit at 10K as you'd planned.
I did
you
not.
Carried on. What possessed you to keep going? What possessed you to keep going?
Yeah, so at 20K, I'm like, well, it seems like I'm gonna do this all the way now because I'm not gonna.
This is at 20K, yeah.
Yes. So, and then I also, because it was a bit of going in some circles, so I met one of the guys because they were much faster than me and just waved at them. And I was, I don't know, I had this adrenaline, I can't explain it. And I felt like, after 20K, I felt, no, I can do this. So I just think it's a lot of the running is in your mind. And for me, because I thought I'm going to do 10K and then I'm going to exit. And then when I reached 20K, I just almost got some, I wouldn't call it a superpower, but in my mind, like, oh, I can do it. And I did it. It took me 5 hours, or something like that, which is not much. 5 hours and 40, over 5 hours, 5 hours 46, close to. I actually don't remember the exact time right now, but I know it was between 5 hours, 36 hours. And for 1 week, I could not, the minute I had to sit on the chair, everything was aching. And, it's not like, when I did the Dubai marathon, it was, you could feel your feet more. Everything was aching. And, I was walking funny, but it was a week. It wasn't a few days, 2 days or 3 days. It was a week. And I wouldn't wish, while it's quite extraordinary in one hand, because you think, well, I did it, but, probably it didn't really help me in going forward, because that meant that, I had probably more than 1 week of huge pain. And even to this date, I think probably it just doesn't help in a way that I think sometimes I don't train enough for a marathon because, I did it without training. Why would I train?
So you felt in a lot of pain for that week. So you finished, felt elation, but the pain, and it's interesting you say that it is a lot of things. You probably felt the same way, Lawrence. Were you the same at sort of halfway points in your marathon, thinking this euphoric, hey, there's nothing to this, let's just keep going? Because I did cut you off at mile 22 where the pain was starting,
right?
Despite having done all that training.
If you rewind back, yes, all the discipline, all that, it kind of, for me, it went a little bit out the window. Actually, at about 16 miles, I think. I started to speed up because I lost patience with running at my target pace, because you feel mighty. You think, this is so easy. I've got to.
As Serena was saying, so you had the same feeling. You felt invincible, and so you picked up the pace.
I did. I know it was. I really paid for it later on. But at about 16 miles, I thought, you know what, I'm running slower than I can. It was my first, give me a break.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But after about 3 miles, I think settled down. I think it was only until about 19, and I thought, no, I was running at the right pace, and I felt that I'd felt the extra effort.
Yeah.
The danger is you don't feel it straight away.
No.
You pick up the pace, and the adrenaline is there, and you think, oh, I can do this. I can run at this faster speed, and then you start to think, actually, no, I can't keep this up.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I did change. I slowed down early enough. I think if I'd carried on for a couple more miles at that higher speed, I would have probably hit the wall.
Yeah.
And bonked, but I didn't. But so I slowed down, and I thought, okay, I've got away with it. I'm running 19, 20, 21, 22. Like, oh, what's going on here? I'm starting, like, all my energy levels are dropping. I didn't feel terrible.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a battery running out or something.
The Duracell bunny was going, and then suddenly,
I was like, I was trying to. The arms were going, and the legs were going.
The legs weren't moving.
No.
Did you have a similar feeling, Serena? Did you have a similar feeling? Your legs just didn't want to move.
Anyway, so from about 22 to 24, and then the hills. Oh, the hills at the end of Chester. And they're not hills. They're not hills.
No.
They're just
They're mountains. They're mountains.
They're just slopes. They're just slopes on the road. I mean, there is quite a steep one, isn't there? About a mile for the finish. Yeah. But basically, as you get to the point where you're so tired that even the slightest incline feels like a mountain. I was embarrassingly slow up the upward slopes. But then I found that if I got to a level, I was okay again, but still running far too slow. So all the time I'd gained in the middle, I currently lost double that at the end. But
as you say, very admirable.
It still went okay overall.
Yeah. It's still a brilliant thing. There's been so many comments and questions. Jonathan, I have got your question here, and we'll come back to this one about training, because we were going to talk about, so these were the good, bad and different experiences. We're going to talk about training and the training that these guys had done or not done. And so there's comments coming in here, Serena, that Suzanne says, gotta love those experienced co-workers, basically peer pressuring you to get into that. And Shana's asked, did your colleagues know about the plan that you were going to exit? Did your colleagues know, Serena, that you were thinking of exiting at 10K?
No, they didn't know, but they did find out. So yes.
But you did finish it, which is brilliant. We've got a number of other comments here coming through. And hey, hello, Nick. Don't worry. We've just got the kids to bed. Yes, it is a Saturday night. We'll let you off. And we've got some comments here. So, Nick is in the house. Yes, Susanna said Nick is in the house. And Petra over in the US. First marathon, halfway, I was still good. More towards 22, 24, body started to ache all over. I had to tell myself, stop whining. It's only a few more miles. Did you guys, you didn't tell yourself stop whining or anything. You just went for it, yeah?
Well, actually, I say, there is, like, you just have to, people say you are not one with the pain, but you just have to accept your pain and run with the pain, because
just keep going with it. And the wall has a name like that with the emoji there. But someone's mentioned about, ask Shalane Flanagan about DOMs. We know Shalane Flanagan, don't we, Lawrence? Yeah.
Yeah, met her. Yeah.
We've met. Run a marathon. So Keith has commented here, Serena, run a marathon with no training. What's the worst that can happen? Yes. So don't worry, Keith. It was only a week out for Serena, so very, very tough. So going on to, because we talked about the actual events itself, the training or lack of. So one of the questions here from Jonathan Winter. And I know, Serena, obviously you've learned from your experiences, because you have gone on to run other marathons and you have put the training in and you followed the right advice and so on. So, you know, you've learned your lesson. So, you know, going out with just 7K a week to run a marathon isn't a good idea. So you've put the training in. So I don't know which one of you guys, in terms of, I know where Jonathan Winter is coming from is, you know, people still bonk. I used to get that myself personally, especially when I was running 20 milers. I would bonk from about 15 mile, 16 miles. So I can explain how I overcame that. And so Jonathan's saying he takes the gels on the long runs, but he still finds himself bonking. Why do you think that is, and how can he overcome that?
I can have a go at that one.
Yeah, go for it, Lawrence.
Okay, so when I ran my first marathon, I'd got to reasonably good park run times for my age. I was running sort of 6 3/4 miles on a park run. Yeah. And my marathon pace was 8 3/4, so it was 2 minutes slower. So I guess my advice would be add at least 2 minutes to your 5K pace for a marathon, or even maybe a little bit more. And then you have to be so patient. And I didn't do it, so I'm advising what I would advise myself now.
Yes.
Stick to that pace, and to at least 20 miles. And only then, if you're really, really convinced you're running slower than you think you can, pick up the pace, but only pick it up a bit, like 10, 15 seconds a mile, and feel your way back into it. Because I would say if you're bonking consistently at 16 to 18, that's probably just too quick at the beginning. And it does, the marathon pace that you'll run all the way through to the end does feel incredibly easy at the beginning. Yeah. In fact, it feels incredibly easy, as Serena's mentioned. It feels incredibly easy for 20K, even 30K. Yes, it's a strange distance. It's very different from the half, where you with the half you can start at a demanding pace and just kind of brute force it round in 13 miles.
And hang on, yes.
And hang on, but you can't do that with a marathon. You will bonk.
There's no hanging on. You just fall off the cliff, basically. Yeah. That's an excellent answer, Lawrence, and it's exactly what I would have answered. What I found, and from my experiences, when I was out on training runs and I was bonking similar distances around 16, 18 miles, it happened every time. So obviously, me being me, I knew nothing about running, so I'd go onto social media and ask people. And what I've found is that most of the social media advice, whilst people have best intentions, it was the wrong advice. They're saying you need to take more gels, you need to drink water, you need to do this. I was doing that as well. Still had no effect. Lawrence hit the nail on the head. My pace was marginally too fast. That's all it was. So whilst I felt good for the first 10 miles, the first 12 miles, the energy then depleted and then just dropped right down. So my glycogen level went down, and no amount of gels and water would help that, because I was just running too quick for my level of fitness. And so, yes, bang on. And Jonathan has come back, Lawrence. Yes, his 5K pace is around 7 minutes. So Jonathan, yeah, I think try that next time, and love to hear back from you. Whether you leave a comment on this video or future videos, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube, would love to hear back from you, Jonathan, how you change your pace, and if that impacts the training that you do, if you are still bonking. And Nick Kane has come in with a comment here talking about bonking. Yeah, he'd bonk in marathons because he went off far too fast. The real race starts at 20 miles. Class 20 miles as the halfway part of the race. Yes, the last 6 miles. That's when it gets, as you've both found out. Yes, Serena, it's where that's where the pedal hits the metal. So how did you cling on when it came to that last 6 miles in your second marathon? Did you think you were ever going to finish? Did it get to a point where you're thinking, oh, this is just hurting, or the miles, when will this end? Is that the sort of feelings that you were getting?
Yes, I mean, why didn't I train I'll never run a marathon again without training. That's the. But then I think the other element in a marathon for me, it's the crowd. Obviously, by the time I finish, unfortunately, there was no crowd. But just at the very end. But I found that in other marathons that in the second half, what keeps me going is just the people around, and also it's more my mind than my body, but my body is in pain. So what I learned also that apart from running, it's good to do some cross training, which helps with your blood, because a lot of the pressure or the pain that I got, as I learned after, is because I didn't do some mixed training. So yeah,
you do cross training now. What kind of cross training would you recommend?
Well, I do a bit of. I have some apps. I don't know. So I have like this
on the phone.
Yeah, some apps.
There's an app for everything.
Yeah, so with different, it's Kaya Intensity. I followed for a while. Now I moved to a different app workout. So it's like 25 minutes. It's HIIT. It's just different few seconds intense exercises. I don't do as much as I would like to do, but yes, I think it matters to have some strength, especially if you go uphill. For me, most of the marathon I run, they were pretty flat. If I run anything like Lawrence hills, they would kill me straight away. It's because I don't, I think you have to have more strength training also.
Did you say running up that hill, Serena?
Yes.
Bingo! Excellent. Yes, strength training, hill reps is part of the strength training, I think. Lawrence, do you do, what would you recommend in terms of the training?
Cycling.
Serena mentioned about cross training. You do cross training as well, cycling? Yeah?
Cycling, yeah, for sure. As you know, I've got a nice bike now, and
oh yes, it's a proper good bike. As a man from London would say,
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Yeah, you've got a good bike, haven't you?
I do have a lightweight racing bike, which I have to say is not necessary, and in some ways you get more of a workout on a heavy steel bike.
Yeah.
But the light bike, I'm enthusiastic to ride it because it's so lovely, it's so quick, and that means I get out on it. Yeah. So I did 12 miles today, and it was hard because there was a headwind, it was cold headwind.
Yeah.
But when I turned around and the wind's behind me, you feel like you're flying. It's such it's a virtuous circle because it's good for you to do the cross training, and it's low impact, so that's good as well. Because we're running on hard surfaces in the winter usually. But you kind of, if you flip flop between the running and the cycling, I find that when I get back on the bike, I've been for a run and I feel tuned up for the bike, and vice versa. My next run after a good cycle ride, after a couple of days recovery, my running feels good. One thing I would say, we're giving people advice. It's the number one. I think the number one factor with training for a marathon, in terms of getting the miles in, is the hours it takes. It is difficult to fit it in when you've got work responsibilities and family responsibilities and everything. But other than that, I think it's just enjoying it. Provided you can find the time. And the one little nugget I'd like to get across today is, sometimes when you're training runs, ease back a bit, or run, instead of thinking, I'm going to run a little bit further, a little bit faster today, run at the same speed as your last training session, particularly if you had a good 3 or 4 days recovery, because it's a real boost to find, this feels relatively easy. Because if you're always pushing harder, it's always harder, you know, and it's so hard. It's so discouraging when every time you go out, it feels like I'm fighting this. I'm fighting to keep going. I'm fighting to keep this pace. I'm fighting to do this distance. Obviously, you have to do that to get faster, but give yourself a break now and again, and just have an enjoyable run and feel good about yourself because it feels relatively easy.
Absolutely. Whilst I'm going to, I'll let you guys have a think because you've made some cracking points about cross training. So I'm going to cover cross training. So rather than surprise you both, Serena and Lawrence, have a little think about food and nutrition and recovery and all that type of stuff whilst I talk about cross training. So for me this week, I did mention that this week's been quite a very week, obviously having to move and doing the training. So I'm training for my triathlon. So this week, come tomorrow, so far this week I've only done two runs. Tomorrow will be my third run in one whole week, and that sounds not a lot, and this is concurring with what both Serena and Lawrence have said. It's taken it easy, and yet my VO2 running went up, shot up from 61 to 63 VO2. Now I know these things are 99% wrong, but it's consistently wrong. So if it's going up, it's an upward trend, so my fitness is going up. What I also found today, that my cycling VO2 went up from 58 to 62. And I'm just following this book, which I didn't pay Lawrence. What he said is exactly what's in this book, 80-20. 80% is super easy, super slow, super tidy, I call it. And 20% might be hard. For me, and I know Colin is a great advocate of this, Colin Johnson and Keith is, I think for them it's like 95 or 99% easy and 1% hard. So there's been lots of comments coming through, and in terms of the training, and I'll just go through that. So I can see you're making notes in terms of food and recovery, which is excellent. So what I've got is Suzanne, as she's mentioned, it's more about time on feet. She's saying no more than 3.5 hours. I think I mentioned years ago a 3-hour rule, but 3.5. It's not about your speed, it's time on feet. And she's also added that the last 10k is the test, and the last 5k shows why. And also, and above all, is respect your body, because you know, it's important that we do look after our bodies. I'd like to keep it going. I think Suzanne's mentioned here that go out really slow first 3, slowly ramp up to 10k, and then should be goal pace at around 13 miles. So similar to what you were saying, Lawrence, is that take it easy, and then at around mile 20, I think Suzanne's more experience is about picking it up at mile 13 and then holding that for the last 13. Is that everybody does it differently. The key thing is, one thing that is similar with everyone is about starting slow and picking it up. But a lot of us, as you probably see, watch my first, I might do a reaction video on my first marathon of, again, how not to run it, because my first one, I thought I could hold a particular pace, but no, went off way too fast and suffered from about mile 18. So my last 8 miles like took forever. You know, you could sort of see the finish in the distance. You know the feeling, Serena? It was, for me, it was along a seafront, and I could see the finish in the distance. It was, let's hold that, it was over there, yeah. I could see it, but my legs just didn't want to move. It just had enough, and it was like carnage. But you know, that's maybe for another day. There was no hills, Lawrence, but it was just, I was just not moving. It was like, I felt like just going to the beach and sitting down and think, fuck, I ain't finishing
when
this.
you've got it wrong,
It
those
goes
last few
horribly wrong.
miles, it's horrible.
Yeah,
you know, you look down, you're trying every trick in the book, and then you look up again and it doesn't look any closer. It's so it's awful, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is. In fact, it sort of makes you feel like popping a few red balloons.
99 red balloons floating in the summer sky.
Yes, the balloons were just floating by for me. And so, yeah, in terms of another part of how to run a good marathon, it's not just about the training and all that. It's about the nutrition and recovery. Is there any top tips that you have. Should we start with yourself, Serena, in terms of preparation and on the actual event itself? Is there any top tips that you have? What's your sort of go-to foods and drinks?
I think I'm sure everyone knows, but I had pasta before a big run.
Pasta,
I always had
yes.
pasta before a big run, and generally I just keep to a healthy diet. I do a 5+2, so 5 days of healthy food, and then 2 days where I can treat myself.
Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Whatever I want, being pizza or a burger.
Yeah.
That happens to be once in a while, but that's so no tricks. And I think also it's in general the portions that you eat that have more of an impact versus what I eat, because it's if I eat a lot of anything, it will have an impact. And obviously, like for drinks, I tend to keep to water, like the main drink, and then I do like a coffee. I find like if I have a coffee before a run, it makes me run faster.
Does it? All right.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what it does to me, but anyway, maybe not.
Oh yes. Maybe not for here, but
Yes.
but it still makes I feel like I don't know. It has that issue though. If you go before a marathon, you don't want to stop because that can take a time of your time, right? So yes.
It sounds absolute perfect sense. You mentioned about a healthy diet. It's about a balanced meal. What would you say yourself, Lawrence?
Well, a few things on nutrition. So in the beginning of the training, all I do is make small changes. So my diet's pretty good anyway. Not because of me, but I'm very lucky. My wife and son are both proficient cooks, and they like to cook from scratch. So that most of my meals are scratch cooked.
Yeah.
So did have a takeaway tonight, actually.
Oh, so no processed food or anything like that. Yeah.
But so small changes. Just as Serena said, portion. Watch the portion. So not necessarily not dieting, but not overdoing it. Not having too much. Not reaching for that. That last spare rib just because you fancy it. or whatever.
Or the pudding with extra layers of custard.
Yeah, and I would do things like sort of reduce, boost the protein. So more nuts and ham and whatnot, and a bit less bread. But I eat quite a lot of fruit anyway, so that's not a difficulty for me. After training runs, every training run, cycling run, protein shake immediately for recovery. And gels sparing. So a gel an hour, something like that. So on a half marathon, for instance, I'd take one gel. That's it. And then, but on a long training run, I might take two. On my marathon, I think I ended up having three in the end. I plan to take 4. But as you can tell, I'm very sparing with the gels. I understand the need for them. But I don't subscribe to. I don't think you gain anything by taking extra ones.
Yeah, you don't need a whole utility belt of them, do you?
No, you don't need a utility belt of 12 gels like you see on some guys
for a 5K.
And it's always a guy
for a 5K. Yeah.
Yes, I know. Just checking my notes here. Porridge for breakfast most days anyway.
Yeah.
I like it anyway. And chocolate actually. Just for a snack. If I feel like I need a snack, I might take. I'll only have like a couple of pieces. A couple of chunks from a chocolate bar.
I've heard dark chocolate helps. Like the original Bournville chocolate.
Yeah, that's
Dark
what
chocolate
that's what I
helps.
prefer anyway. So
I don't know what's in it, but some excellent tips. And I'd like to concur with what Serena has said as well about the pasta, carbohydrates before a run. Like tomorrow's run I've got is quite a distance one, I think, ish. So today I've been mainly eating carbs, yeah, because I'm preparing for my long run tomorrow. So everything that these guys have said, you know, I joked about the coffee. Lawrence mentioned porridge. There's different types of foods. Try what works for you, because certain foods can have, or drinks can have, certain reactions to our bodies in certain ways. So, you know, we're all different. Some people react really positively with caffeine and some don't. So just do what works for you. Keep trying them. There's been lots of questions flowing through here. So I'll come on to those. Jonathan, we'll come on to your question about the run less, run fast. Yes, I can tell you lots of things about that. But in terms of goals, negative splits, flat on the finish. With regards to the nutrition, the best marathons are the ones you forget you're running. Yes. Would you agree with that, guys?
Yes.
Absolutely. So,
I guess.
Yeah. So Colin's got here porridge and half a Snickers before a long run. Yeah, a Snickers as in a marathon bar. That's what they used to be called. So for me, and something I picked up from yourself, Lawrence, before Chester, is that the night before I'd carb up, but you were quite adamant on having a no meat in the pasta, because as I now know, because we learn all the time, is that meat takes a bit of time to process through our body. So for a marathon race, it's good to not be processing food through our body, because that might have reactions. So, you know, non-meat the day before, really, yeah, in the meals.
Certainly the evening before, yeah.
Lunchtime, you might be able to, but again, check with your GP, whatever, you know, because sometimes some people's bodies may take longer. Some people can process it quicker. Yes, I was going to say, Suzanne said she's never had a race, so I forgot I'm running. But going on to the point that Jonathan's raised, I don't know whether any of you have had experience of this. Run less and faster, which talks about 3 quality runs, a speed, tempo, and slow long run per week, plus cross training. Have any of you guys heard of it?
No.
Run less, run faster. I have, and that's what I'd been doing, I think, for when I was coming up to Chicago. Looking at definitely run less. It's about, whilst it's good to have time on feet, it's what we were saying earlier about the cross training. So cross training is a great way of getting yourself fitter without having to be on the feet for so long. Yes, absolutely do the long run. The long run, when it comes to marathons, and people can comment on that. I'm sure Suzanne, Colin would agree. The long run is the #1 run that you need to be. Where's the one? Yeah, the long run. Although over here, it's like an alien beam is about to take me up. So if you're going to do one run, that's really important. It's the long run for marathon, and there's no substitute for that. You can miss the odd one or two, because obviously we're looking at 16-week training plans. But as you're building up slowly, the long run is essential. What else you mix in with that is you could almost say it's up to you. And as Colin said here with the diet, testing the diet is a key part of the training plan. And so what you eat and drink for that long run is essential. And I'm thinking now that with what we've covered here, I think we've covered quite a lot, haven't we, guys, in that quick 1 hour? What do you think? Yeah.
Good.
I think we've nailed it, as they say, and both of you have some great talents, and in a way, it's as Austin says.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
And with it being a Saturday night, I couldn't go without spreading a bit of love for everyone.
Love is in the air, every sight and every sound.
So for everybody watching, for Serena and Lawrence, thank you so much for your time coming on here and sharing your knowledge and the good, bad and ugly with regards to marathon running. I think it's great that guys like you come on and live, and it is quite a commitment coming on here live to share with everybody who's watching and listening. And a big thank you to all the viewers here live who've been watching and enjoying this. This is sort of the end of the first series, as I need to regroup, replan, and see what to do going forward. But I've really enjoyed this. It's been a great therapy for not just me, but I'm sure a lot of others watching as well. We will be back with some live stuff. I am continuing doing the interview types of stuff, and I've got various recordings that will be coming out over the next few weeks. Don't forget, I've done the old Hoka One Carbon X2, so they'll be coming up with that. And yes, I've certainly enjoyed doing this. I know, Lawrence, you've been bang on here with a number of weeks coming on live, sharing your wisdom and knowledge. And it's been good fun, hasn't it, Lawrence?
Oh, yeah. No, it's been interesting as well, because it's been, we used to do the audio only podcast.
That's right. Yeah.
Doing live video has been, it's okay, though.
It's a bit different.
Once you've done a couple, it's...
Yeah, you get used to it. And Serena, thank you so much. Out there in Dubai, it's middle of the night for you now. Was it coming up to 1 a.m.?
Yes, thank you for having me. I don't think I'm an expert in running, but I think I'll run more after this talk. I feel inspired to do so.
You feel the need to go out now, 1 a.m. in the middle of Dubai, do some running.
This is right in the summer. This is what people do. Who take tips. They train at 2 a.m. In the
Yes,
summer.
yeah. Because it's cooler. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. There's still some comments coming through, so I'm just going to add some comments that people. So Jonathan has said thank you, both Lawrence and Serena. Your advice and conversation's been very good. It's all flying in now because everybody's saying their goodbyes or whatever. So, Lawrence and Serena, thank you all so much. Dave Lockie, I know your Carbon X2 are in the post. I think you're going to love my review coming out later in the week. I don't know if you've seen the pre. I did do some sessions. I think the video did come out this week about my. Is it next week? 3 types of running, And yes, following on from that, what Suzanne has mentioned to you, carry on and good luck, Serena and Lawrence. And Dave Lockie, this is his first live one. You've enjoyed it. It's a good live experience, isn't it, Dave? And once we get these back up and running, I'm sure you'll love those ones as well. And Keith's come in to say, thanks, Lawrence, Serena, much appreciated. So everyone loves your feedback, and I hope you'll feel good and sleep well as well. So, and Susanna said, please come back tonight. Yes, I'll be back. There's no keeping me away. But there's other things I need to focus on right now. And as much as I enjoy doing these, there's lots to be going on. So without further ado, it's a good night and goodbye from me. And it's a good night and goodbye from Serena and Lawrence.
Bye. Thank you. And
bye, everyone. And
bye. Thanks. It's been fun.
So, shall I finish with, because for me, these shows have been making me feel.
I'm feeling glad all over, yes, I'm glad all over, baby.
I've been feeling glad on over, and as Austin would say,
baby, yeah.
Thank you all so much for watching. It's good night from us all.
Bye.
Thank you. Au revoir.
Bye.
Good night.